The Hurricanes are better than most teams in the Eastern Conference. I would argue they're the best team outside of the Florida Panthers. Welcome back to another episode, you beauties. I'm Zach, joined by Preston. How was your Thanksgiving? American Thanksgiving.
It was nice. Surprisingly, some decent football games. Had a lot of good food. How was yours?
It was good. I watched the Bears botch the last 34 seconds of that game.
I'm glad they fired their coach for that. That's a fireable
the morning
offense.
After, I kept seeing stuff about they should fire him right when they get back to Chicago. They basically did that.
Yeah.
Good move on their part. And then the apparently I heard the 4 o'clock game wasn't as bad as what a lot of people thought.
I didn't watch most of it. I was mad as fuck because CeeDee Lamb did nothing.
Yeah.
I'm in my fantasy league. But enough about that. First of all, I want to extend a congratulations out to Zach here, who officially has joined the Hockey Writers covering the Buffalo Sabres. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The big milestone.
That's
Happy for
huge.
you. You've been working hard.
Yeah, I'm very excited to cover the Sabres. It gives me more of a reason to watch the team even when they suck.
Yep.
So it's nice in that aspect as well, but I'm excited.
Yeah, no, big moves. So, yeah, congrats again.
Thank you. So I want to pivot over. You know what? Fuck it. I'm starting off with the Wild shit.
Okay.
Because they're only a couple points back of the Winnipeg Jets, and I know we've been huge Wild fan, advocators. Listen, okay? We made a video that did pretty well, mind you. It was one of the best performing videos on this channel.
We got a lot of hate, though.
We got a lot of hate for saying that Bill Guerin knew what he was doing. And there's one comment that always gets me is that the only thing Bill Guerin knows what to do is eat pizza.
That was a good comment.
I will say, I know that's like a hate comment towards Bill Guerin, not us. That was the funniest comment. I should have pinned that comment. But
Well, the Minnesota Wild are 2 points behind the Winnipeg Jets for first place in the NHL.
Yes.
They played one less game than the Jets. The Wild look good. Philip Gustafson, sleeper Vezina candidate.
Right now, yes. Oh, by far. I mean, we watched him against Buffalo.
He stole them that game. Yeah.
He won them that game. I mean, they were, especially at the last 5 minutes of the third period, the Sabres just scored 3 goals right there.
Philip Gustafson right now leads the league in save percentage and goals against average. He's above Connor Hellebuck at both of those.
Now, listen, I might be crazy. This isn't me being biased, but I think Philip Gustafson is the favorite for the Vezina Trophy.
If he
He's
keeps
playing
pulling
out
like
of his
this,
mind.
yeah. I mean, you got that, and then you have Kirill Kaprizov playing at an MVP level. You have 2 guys carrying. I mean, the rest of the Wild team has been okay, but I mean, Gustafson and Kaprizov's play has definitely been carrying the Wild.
The Wild dodged the bullet with
I
Kaprizov.
still think they are a playoff team, regardless of Gustafson playing at a Vezina level or Kaprizov playing at MVP. I still think they would have been a playoff team regardless, but if they keep this up, they might literally have a chance to win their division.
The Wild ended up dodging a bullet with Kaprizov's injury. He only missed a game or 2, which is huge. And like you said, the depth hasn't really been there for the Minnesota Wild. It's been the Kaprizov, and it's been the Gustafson show.
But when you have a superstar like Kaprizov, it's okay to lean on him. That's why he's there.
Yeah, and you have other players like Matt Boldy and Marco Rossi who are breaking out this season. Both players, by the way, who could put up 80-plus points this season, especially Matt Boldy, who's having a hell of a season.
I like Matt Boldy a lot, yeah.
And then Marco Rossi is that guy that's going to put up.
And they got Zuccarello out on injury right now.
Yeah,
he's been pretty good for them when he's been able to play.
I mean, he got placed on IR, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still on there. I think he's going to be out for the next 2 weeks or so. This team is firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
And we saw coming out of the gates with Winnipeg, we're like, nobody's catching Winnipeg. Well, the fucking Wild are.
Yeah, I mean, Winnipeg's kind of come back down to earth. I mean, they weren't going to keep that crazy start up for the whole season.
No.
I believe they're 5-5 in their last 10. So Winnipeg's looking a little bit more beatable, but I still think Winnipeg's one of the best teams in the league.
Yes.
But Minnesota is right up there with them. And, I got to give Zach credit again. He kind of had a hot take at the beginning of the season saying that he was going to pick Kaprizov to win the MVP. That's not looking crazy right now.
People called me a fucking idiot. And then
No, I mean, I don't think anyone called you an idiot.
well, okay, Instagram Reels is different. It's a different animal.
They bullies on there?
Dude, yes. But there was some comment I didn't entertain, but I found kind of amusing. So when I posted a clip or whatever of me saying, right now my Kaprizov pick for the Hart Trophy is looking pretty good, and some dude commented, "Why are you lying to yourself? You didn't pick him."
No, you
go
definitely
look
did.
at the
Yeah,
fucking
no.
video. That
No, you definitely did. Yeah, I remember you picked him. Yeah, no, he's. I think he should be the favorite right now. I think he's right up there with like Nathan McKinnon, Kel McCarr. I mean, shit, Dylan Strome's been really good too.
How's Dylan Strome been without Ovechkin?
He's still putting the points. I believe he had 2 assists last night. He had an assist. Hold on, let me go to his game log.
Him and Connor McMichael have been very, very impressive this season,
He
with and without.
He had a 3-point night last night against the Islanders. 1 goal, 2 assists. Yeah, he's been pretty much a point per game since Ov got hurt.
I love that. I love that.
He's looking like a 1C. I mean, I wouldn't say he's like in the MVP candidate race right now.
No.
I mean, but yeah, I would say like Kaprizov, Eichel's been really good still for Vegas. McKinnon, Rantanen, Kucherov, you got to throw his name in there. Sam Reinhart's still playing really well.
Everybody thought he'd regress, and right now he's on pace to break his career high of 57 goals.
While we're talking about points, is Martin Necas the hottest player in the league right now?
Everybody was Martin Necas right now. What, he's on a 2-year, $6 million contract.
What a steal!
Right now, he's telling the Hurricanes to go fuck themselves because I don't know what Martin Necas want if you did want a shorter term deal.
I think he wanted to get traded. I think
so.
That was the rumor all season. I mean, it wasn't a rumor; it was a fact that the Hurricanes were looking to move him.
It wasn't that he wanted to be traded. I think the Hurricanes felt like they weren't
going to give him the money he
wanted.
wanted. Yeah.
So I think that's where the bridge deal comes into play because Martin Necas right now, the start of this contract looks like he's an $11, $12 million player.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Like he had a stretch of games where I think in 10 games he had like 21 points or something like that, which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, I mean, he's on pace to have career highs. Like
in every single statistic.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got 12 goals. His career high was 28, 25 assists, career high 43. So he's having a really good start to the season.
Dude, the Hurricanes, they look scary, and they don't have a number one goaltender. I know they have Kochetkov. I probably butchered that
He's
name.
been pretty okay for them.
But he's been serviceable, right? Like, you can get away with the serviceable goaltender like we've seen it with different teams in the past. But you look at the NHL now, it's a very goaltender-driven league, I think. It's a very star-driven league in general. You can now, I'm not saying that you can win a championship with just one star player because we look at the Oilers, that hasn't really worked out. The Toronto Maple Leafs, for example, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at a team like Florida. They have superstars, but they don't have would you call Brady Tkachuk or Barkov game-breaking or even Sam Reinhart?
Matthew Tkachuk is
game-breaking.
He's a game-breaking player.
So because I was going to say that you don't need a game-breaking superstar, but if Matthew Tkachuk's a game-breaking superstar.
I mean, Matthew Tkachuk can do everything.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you have a game-breaking superstar, you need to know how to build around them.
But they also have like a 2-time Vezina winning goalie in Bobrovsky.
Yeah, that's the next point I'm getting to is that you look at teams like outside of the 22 Colorado Avalanche team, which had Darcy Kemper, who played really good for them in the playoffs.
But I mean, that team was absurd.
That team was disgusting.
Yeah.
Up top to bottom, the best team in the NHL. But then like Florida's had Bobrovsky, the Lightning's had Vasilevsky. Vegas had Adin Hill go on a crazy run.
I mean, but Adin Hill's been pretty good even since then. I mean, but Vegas, they also had a crazy team that year.
I guess you also need a goaltender to get hot at the right time too.
Yeah, I think that's part of it because Adin Hill, I think, is the perfect goalie for Vegas.
And like Stuart Skinner ended up getting hot right at the right time during the playoffs. Like he did not start the playoffs off good. He did not.
He got benched in the second round.
Yeah, he got benched. So he got hot in the middle of the playoffs and just rode the wave. And I love the Hurricanes. I've been on the Hurricanes wagon for the last 3 years. I jumped off this offseason because they've just let me fucking down.
I mean, that's been the case with the Hurricanes all year. They're always a good regular season team. It's just they can't get it done in the playoffs. They usually get to the second round. Honestly, I thought they were the better team last year in the conference fight. And in the second round against the Rangers, it's just they ran into Shesterkin.
That's the difference here, is that you have the Hurricanes are better than most teams in the Eastern Conference. I would argue they're the best team outside of the Florida Panthers. You don't have an elite goaltender like the Rangers do. You run into Igor Shesterkin, which you can't solve. You don't have another goaltender to go toe-to-toe with Igor Shesterkin. Now, like the Panthers are with the Rangers, the Panthers are a better team overall than the Rangers. But if you put Sergei Bobrovsky on that Carolina Panthers, not the Carolina Hurricanes team.
Wrong team. Wrong league.
I think the Carolina Hurricanes do go to the Cup final. And I think
Bobrovsky will probably be pretty good on the Carolina Panthers, too. They need everybody now.
That's true. That's true. But, like, I'm just saying, like, an elite goaltender, we preach it on this podcast from day in, day out. Like, you need an elite goaltender in this league, I think.
Yes and no. I think you can get away with a really good tandem. I mean, Aiden Hill, I wouldn't say he's an elite goalie. He won a cup with Vegas. Darcy Kemper's definitely not an elite goalie. Won a cup with Colorado. I mean, definitely having one, yeah, it doesn't hurt at all. Like, I mean, having a guy like Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, like, yeah, like I'll take that on my team any day of the week. But I mean, I don't think you're not going to win a cup. You can't win a cup without a Vezina or an elite goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out there, and I think it's like I said. I wonder if it's more just getting hot. Like,
I think it's a combination of having the right goalie for your system. I think it's getting hot at the right time and having the right defensive structure in front of the goalie. Because look at Aiden Hill. I'll bring him up again because he's the perfect example of this. He's a good goalie. Like, he's not a bad goalie. I wouldn't know. I don't know if he's definitely not top 5, maybe top 15, top 12. But looking at that Vegas Golden Knights team that won the cup 2 years ago, their defensive structure was great. They had 4 good forward lines that could play offense and defense. He made the big saves when he was asked to.
yeah, and props to Vegas for that Aiden Hill contract for not jumping on it and be like, oh, we'll sign you to like a 7-year deal, just signing him to a 2-year bridge deal. That's good on Vegas because I think they recognize that Aiden Hill could be a starter, but they were unsure.
Well, I think it was a combination of like, okay, you just won the Stanley Cup with us. Like, we do not win the cup without Aiden Hill playing the way he did because he did step up when they needed him to step up. But also, we need to see more. Like, you were a starter for half a season.
Yes.
Like, okay, we know you won the Stanley Cup with us, but can you be our long-term starter? And I think he's proving that he can be.
Yeah, he is proving it. I mean, Vegas has not slowed down at all. First in the Pacific Division right now, 33 points, when half the NHL media thought they weren't going to be good, including myself.
I mean, I think we all picked them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I had them second in the Pacific, so maybe I didn't.
I had them as a wild card team.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't think they were going to. I thought people were low on them. I remember when we were doing our previews, I thought people were underestimating Vegas a lot. I know that they were the 8th seed last year in the playoffs, but they were also injured to hell and back, and they took Dallas to 7 games.
Yeah, they looked like the better team for half of that series.
And then Jake Ottinger woke up.
He woke up in the games. I think it was games 4 to 7. It might have been something crazy like that. So I think Vegas right now, with the looks of it, how weak the Pacific Division is, should eventually run away with that.
I mean, but they also have one of the best coaches of the league in Bruce Cassidy.
Yeah.
They have a superstar, Jack Eichel. Mark Stone's still there. Don't forget about him. Like, they still have a great team. I know they lost March or so. It was a big part of that team, but I think that was kind of a necessary loss to rebuild some of that depth they desperately needed, because they go all in every year, so they don't have a big prospect pool to fall back on.
They know how to win hockey games, and Barbashev looks absolutely phenomenal for them.
Waiver wire pickup of the year right now.
Playing up there with Jack Eichel right now.
Yeah, he's been good, yeah.
Those two have been great.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Pacific Division, I think 5 playoff teams are coming out of that division at this point.
Yeah, possibly.
Like, unless Colorado kicks out either Vancouver, Calgary, or Edmonton, I think the most realistic choice is Calgary falling out.
Yes.
But right now, they still haven't slowed down with 28 points in third in the Pacific Division. But, again, you never know because right now Vancouver and Edmonton are both 1 and 2 points behind them, respectively. So you never know with Colorado at 26. I want to pivot over to the New York Rangers because right now they are skidding.
There's a lot of rumors flying around about this team, too. So
they lost 5 straight games. They did win their last game. I believe it was last night.
No, they lost last night.
No, they won last night.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, yeah, we talked a little bit about the rumors on the last episode about Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba and the whole, trade rumors and everything.
Oh, no, they won today.
Okay, it was today? They lost last night?
They beat Montreal. Yeah, they lost to Philly yesterday. They beat Montreal 4-3.
I didn't realize they played today.
Yeah, I think it was a 12 o'clock game.
Okay, makes sense. Fucking 12 o'clock games. Yeah, but, the Rangers need to get their shit together because right now it's not looking pretty for them. I know they're being this great regular season team that can't get over the hump, almost like the same version of the Carolina Hurricanes, except they have Igor Shesterkin.
But they also run into the one team that they can't beat is the Florida Panthers.
Although, to be honest, the last 2 years, nobody could beat the Florida Panthers except Vegas.
Yeah.
So I think the Rangers' problem, they relied too much on Igor Shesterkin at times, like we've seen it before. And there was, I believe it was against Philly, Mika might have been Zibanejad, had a wide open net and missed. He didn't score it all. He was backdoor with the puck on his stick and missed it. And I think that just sums up the Rangers' season so far, and they've been this very inconsistent team where one night they look like that President Trophy winning team that they were last season, and the next night it looks like they don't know how to play hockey. They go on to lose 5 games in 12 days, and it seems like the world is falling. But thankfully for them, it's early in the season. They're still in the playoff spot. They'll be okay as long as you have Igor Shesterkin, but then you have to pay him after this season. So
Who knows what he's going to get?
Right. The question becomes of how much is he going to want? How much is Igor going to get? And then how are you going to free up as much cap as possible to make sure you have the available funds for it? Because if you go into the offseason without a plan, without how you're going to sign Igor Shesterkin, he's not a Ranger next season.
That would be insane if he somehow got the UFA. I mean, I think Chris Drury gets fired if that happens.
But, if the second he signs with another team, it's going to say Chris Drury has been relieved.
It's going to be like the Giants when they let Saquon walk. And the Giants owner said, if Saquon Barkley is wearing an Eagles jersey, I'm going to have nightmares about that.
And he is.
Giants GM might end up getting fired now.
Rose kid is a better GM than him. That's besides the point, though. Yeah, like the Rangers are a little bit of a pickle. They're not getting a lot of production from any of their players either at this point. And I'm not worried about this team because I know, like we stated, they have a Vezina goaltender. They have the superstars like Panarin. I have faith that Zibanejad is going to keep up. Get together his play because he's still struggling. But
Zibanejad is a player to me. Like he hasn't really proven to me that he can be that great player they need him to be when they need it. Like in the playoffs, he kind of just disappears every year, especially in the conference final. Like I think he scored like maybe 1 goal that whole conference final, and that was when they were about to get eliminated.
When the fuck did Will Cully decide to get 20 points in 23 games?
Yeah, I was going to bring him up. He's been good for them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Props to him, man.
I mean, you still got Panarin putting up like point per game numbers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Panarin's an elite talent.
He's going to get a hundo this season.
Yeah, he's so good.
I mean, Kaapo Kakko right now is their 6th leading point scorer at the moment with 13 and 23 games. No shade at Kaapo Kakko because I think he's a good player. But, I mean, at 6 with 13 points, you're having a little bit of an issue there. And I don't think their goal differential is in the positives either.
No, I believe it is still. I mean, they still have a winning record. Before they went on that skid, they only lost like 4 games.
They started off slow, and then they went on a huge run. I think they were like 7-2-1 or something.
Yeah, and they got broken by the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
They lost to them 6-1. They got their ass kicked.
In Madison Square Garden as well. With the Blue Jackets, I want to go over to them because right now they sit at 23 points in 22 games. They have a 5-4-1 record in their last 10, and they're only a couple points out of a playoff spot. This team doesn't seem to be going away no matter how far we get into the season. The Columbus Blue Jackets might surprise everybody. Now, this isn't going where everybody thinks it's going.
They're not a playoff
They're not
team.
going to the playoffs.
No.
But I'm just saying, I don't necessarily think they're as bad as what a lot of people might put it out to be. But this could be a less tempered version of what the Flyers were last season, where the Flyers last season got off to the very hot start. They were first in the Metro, then completely fell off the face of the earth after the All-Star break. I'm not saying the Blue Jackets are going to go on that type of run before the All-Star break because they're not, frankly. But if let's say they're still hovering around 500 at then and they fall off a cliff, I wouldn't be necessarily that shocked at this. Although you have guys like Sean Monahan playing great too for them.
Oh, Sean Monahan's been really good, and that makes me still really sad because I would have loved to see him playing with Johnny Gaudreau.
That would have been so sick.
I mean, that's why he went to Columbus to play with Johnny Gaudreau. Kirill Marchenko has been really good for them. Zach Werenski, stud. I think he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. I think he doesn't get as much love because he plays in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not a great team. Doesn't really get a lot of national attention, but he's a point-per-game player. And he is that Blue Jackets team. Like if they lose him, they have a tough time winning.
And like I don't know how this team keeps winning games because they're not getting a ton of
their goaltending's horrible.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Both their goalies are not good.
They're now
Elvis Merlinka's contract's awful. I think they're paying like $5 or $6 million a year
for him to put up less than a 900 save percentage.
Well, yeah, I believe they gave him that contract after Bobrovsky left.
Yep.
They were like
they thought he was the future.
They had to decide between him and Korpisalo, and they picked him. Which I mean, they were both probably not great decisions.
Yeah, I mean, right now they sit at a goal differential at even 78 goals for, 78 goals against.
I mean, Columbus has they've been able to score. It's just they haven't been able to keep the puck out of their net. That's been their issue.
Their home record is really good. It's a different story on the road, though.
I mean, I'm just looking at some of the games that they lost. Like they lost to Winnipeg 6-2, Nashville 7-2, LA 2-5, Anaheim 2. Like when they lose, they get blown out. But when they win, it's a blowout the other way.
With the Blue Jackets, I feel like it's kind of tricky. Like, I don't think they're going to stay in the thick of things, but I think it's kind of impressive that they are. If you're
I mean, big credit to them. I mean, they had every excuse in the world, like I've said this before, to be horrible to start the year. Like, nobody would have blamed them if they were dead last in the league right now. No one would be giving them any shit.
They're better off to be dead last in the league, though, for their future.
But you're not going to tell an NHL player that.
No, because NHL players don't try to, like, tank and, like, do all that. That's all front office stuff.
No, no professional in any sport. Maybe the owners are okay with losing, but most of them do not want to lose.
You don't think tanking's a thing, then?
I think it is a thing, but I think it's more of a thing with ownership and upper management than the players, the coaching staff, the scouts. They want to win. Their hearts in it.
The players, the head coaches, and the scouts, and like all like those internal staff people, like those are their jobs. Like if they don't perform well, like they're fired no matter what, whether they're tanking or not. Because the whole part of tanking is being bad until you're so bad where you eventually become good, and that's where everybody's replacements come in, right?
I think it's really hard to tank nowadays, especially with the tweaks that we had of the draft lottery. The last team that got caught tanking were the Ottawa Senators.
That was way back when.
That was for Alexander Dyke and.
Don't know who that is.
One of the biggest. There's a really good documentary on him on ESPN Plus.
Okay.
I believe that was his name, Alexander Dyke.
Was this back? Was this in the 2000s or beforehand?
The 90s.
Not 90s. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know, honestly.
Yeah, Alexander Dyke. Yep. I think you'd really enjoy that documentary on ESPN Plus. Like the Senators openly tanked for him.
They were open to the media and everything about, we're just
well, I mean, they didn't say it, but after that, the NHL implemented the draft lottery to make sure that never happened again.
I mean, I think the draft lottery is smart either way because it helps with parity around leagues.
What discourages tanking? I mean, I feel like there's certain situations where it pisses me off where you have a team. I mean, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, like Colorado came in last place. They lost the draft lottery. They fell all the way to fourth. They ended up getting the best player in the draft in Cale Makar.
Yep.
But actually, I think they made that with Ottawa's pick. I think that's when Ottawa came in dead last. That was when they traded for Matt Duchene.
Okay.
And they gave up 2 first-round picks and then came out in last place the next year. No, I believe that's when they picked Bowen Byram fourth overall.
In
2018? I think they came in last place that year.
Okay.
And they lost the draft lottery and they fell to 4. I mean, there's several other teams that's happened to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it happened to Buffalo in 2015.
I mean, I would say they're the last team I think was actually tanking because that team was built to lose. They were. I remember going to the games. People had the McDavid jerseys on already. People were very. I remember being very upset watching that draft lottery.
People knew. And that was a very upsetting time. Not getting the generational talent after you sit there in misery and anguish as a fan for 6 months out of the year just to see that draft lottery.
And I felt bad for the players because, the players don't ever want to lose. And I went to a few games during that tank year, and I was cheering for the Sabres to lose because I was all in. I was like, we're going to get McDavid. Like, he's going to be the next Wayne Gretzky. Like, he's going to save us. I was at the game where we clinched last place. Like, we were guaranteed to at least get Connor McDavid or Jack Eichel. And I remember the Sabres lost in overtime. They were playing the Coyotes. And they got a standing ovation when the Coyotes scored.
Oh, my God.
I remember after the game, they interviewed a couple of players, and the players were pissed. They were like, why are they cheering for us when the other team scores? Like, we're busting our ass. Like, why aren't we don't appreciate that? And they were right to call the fans out. I don't think tanking should be something that's cheered for. I mean, but they ended up losing the draft lottery double because they didn't get Connor McDavid. They got Jack Eichel, and then they traded Jack Eichel. So they were the biggest losers in that whole situation.
And, I mean, you get absolutely nothing out of it at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, tanking for the players could be a brutal thing because you sit there. Let's say a player knowingly the team is tanking, and you're like, fuck, man. Like, the fans want us to lose. The ownership doesn't believe that we're going to win. They want us to lose for some 18-year-old phenom, that is coming out of, let's say, the CHL, for example. Or
I do. I mean,
college
every once in a while, I still think, like, what if like the Sabres got Connor McDavid, like what would this team be right now? Because I think it would have gone different.
You really think so? You think McDavid would still be on the Sabres right now?
I do. McDavid's a different kind of player than Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eichel wasn't as mature as McDavid. I think Eichel's mature now. I don't think he was ready for all the expectations that were placed on him, right? Because when he got drafted by the Sabres, everyone expected him to save the team right away. And they made a lot of big moves in the offseason. They brought in Evander Kane and Zach Bogosian earlier in the season at the trade deadline. Bring in Ryan O'Reilly, Robin Leonard. Sam Reinhart's joining the team for his rookie year. So they were making a lot of moves to get competitive right away. And I believe they were making those moves in mind, planning to have Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
This is not Eichel's fault at all.
No,
I think he was thrown into a really bad situation. A lot of high expectations placed on him. Management failed to build the team around him. Poor coaching. It's just everything that could have went wrong. I'm not sure how different that would have been under McDavid, but I do think it would have been different.
Yeah,
I think McDavid would have handled it a little bit better.
Eichel was definitely thrown into the wolves. You get two different players from that. You get Connor McDavid, which he's coming from the Erie Otters. He's been basically eat, sleep, drink hockey because he goes.
But he's also had those expectations his whole life
since he was 8 years old, 9 years old. He was
they were hyping him up for years. I would say the first time I heard Connor McDavid's name was probably 3 years before he got drafted.
So he was what, 15, 14, 15?
Yeah, I think that's when he got exceptional status in the OHL.
And then you go over to Jack Eichel's status, and he also eats, sleeps, and drinks hockey because he's going to be the number 2 overall pick from Boston. But he's
and I think
also
in almost any other draft, he would have been the number 1 overall pick. I think the only other one that might have been, besides Connor Bedard, is maybe Austin Matthews.
2016 draft, and then how far back are we going?
Like I would say 2 or 3 years.
Okay, 2 or 3 years, yeah. Then outside of Austin Matthews and Connor Bedard,
maybe I don't know about Nathan McKinnon's draft.
No, I don't know. I think Eichel still probably goes number 1 overall. Eichel won the Hobey Baker as a freshman. That's huge. So yeah, the Hobey winning that as a freshman is unheard of. Jack Eichel did it. He deserves 2nd overall. He's a great player, and I think. Truthfully, Vegas has the best version of Jack Eichel he's ever been.
Well, I think he's happy and he's finally healthy.
He's enjoying the game.
He's happy where he is. He's got a stable life. He's got a good team around him, good situation. And honestly, I'm happy for him.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have ever got that here.
No, which is crazy because before COVID shut down the season early in 2019, 2020.
He had asked for a trade already.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was also so adamant that if the Sabres made the playoffs, he was going to get the Hart Trophy. He was playing that well. And the fact that he's playing better hockey with Vegas than he ever did with Buffalo really goes to show you how ridiculously good he is right now in the league. He's a top 5 center. Is top 5 centerman a stretch? Are we going close? Okay. He's I guess borderline top 5 centerman.
No, I'd say he's top
5.
I don't think it's a stretch.
So we have Connor McDavid, McKinnon,
Matthews.
Matthews. I think I'd throw Jack Eichel number 4.
Yeah, no, he's an elite player.
Yeah, I think he's better than Barkov. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's debatable, but I think Jack Eichel's a top 5 center.
Yeah, he is. So I think I have one more thing here for us. Do you know anything about the 4 Nation rosters?
I know, they're starting to speculate on who's going to be on the teams.
Apparently, we're not going to spend a ton of time on it, but apparently Team Canada wants Joey Daccord to come play for them. Come play for him. He was born in Boston, but his dad is Canadian, and I think...
Does he have Canadian citizenship?
Yes, he does. And I think his mom is either, Swedish or Swiss or some country in Europe, I forgot. So he can really...
Team Canada doesn't really have a lot to choose from for goaltending.
So
it's probably going to be Aiden Hill, probably Joey Daccord.
Jordan Bennington, maybe.
Not really a lot of great options.
If you're Joey Daccord, I think you pick Canada over Team... he's not even going to make Team USA because there's 4 goaltenders that are ridiculous anyways.
Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger.
Swayman.
I don't know about Swayman. He might be playing himself out of a position right now.
I think he can still possibly make.
They might take him as a 3rd.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're gonna carry.
Obviously it's gonna be Ottinger and Hellebuck.
Those are the 2 they're-ins.
Hellebuck's the starter.
And yes, and then Demko's hurt, so he's not gonna be able to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you go Swayman 3rd. I would love to see Joey Daccord be the second goaltender behind Aiden.
I mean,
Hill
who else would be like maybe Logan Thompson, maybe the third?
Logan Thompson might.
But there's not that many Canadian goalies in the league right now that are good.
Yeah, but like if you're Canada, do you truly need like that elite goaltender in front of that ridiculous roster?
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't hurt, but like
I don't know.
it's
I'm really
not a
excited for this
need.
because you're going to see Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Connor Bedard, and Nathan McKinnon
Yes.
all on the same team.
Yes.
That is insane.
Yes, it is. That Team Canada team is going to be disgusting.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Oh
but
my
goaltending might be the
God.
thing that holds them back.
Are we sure about their team's going to be? They can allow 5 goals a game and they still put up 6.
I mean, they're going to have Cale Makar on there, too. That team's going to be nasty.
Oh my God, I'm excited for it, man. I don't think I've ever been this excited.
Just imagine
for
that
something.
power play one, though. You got who's taking the face off? Like, honestly, who's taking the face off in
Oh
power
my
play
God,
one?
you throw that shit. Sidney Crosby all the way. I would go Sid the Kid all the way.
Over McDavid and McKinnon?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I would throw McKinnon on. I know it sounds crazy. So
I mean, I don't think that all 4 of them will be on the same power play. They'll
they're gonna
probably
spread
split
it
them up.
But if we're talking hypotheticals, and these 5 guys are out there: Cale Makar, Crosby, McKinnon, Bedard, and
That's
McDavid.
insane.
Okay, I would go. Obviously, Makar's going to be power playing it. I would throw Sidney Crosby in the dot. He's going to be the bumper guy. I would throw Connor Bedard on the.
I would put him on the point with Makar. Bedard has a shot, man.
And
Ooh.
he's very shifty.
Yeah.
So then you throw McDavid on the right circle and then McKinnon on the left circle.
That is ridiculous.
Who the fuck is stopping that? The one thing that you know what? The one thing I wish they would do. I wish the NHL would do this every year, but they would have to.
Wait, we got some breaking news.
What?
I believe Jiricek, I believe one in Columbus, has been traded to the Minnesota Wild.
Minnesota is making moves still. Fucking Minnesota.
I believe it's the Columbus one. I'm just double checking. We got our boy Chris,
Yeah.
NHL insider Chris, breaking us some news.
David. Yeah, all I see from Elliot is David Jiricek trade is being
So
finalized.
David Jiricek. So that's the one in Columbus, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there was rumors floating around that
Wait.
he wasn't happy with the situation there.
Yeah. I wonder what the package is now.
I'm sure we'll find out sooner rather than later.
I'm looking up David Jiricek now, and this dude put out an article 24 hours ago saying trading for David Jiricek would be a no-brainer for the Wild.
So the Wild just got better.
They got much better.
I mean, we'll see what they gave up.
I honestly don't even know where to start with this. I'm assuming there's going to be draft picks involved. I'm assuming maybe a prospect, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you when we were talking about
No,
the
that's
Four
fine.
Nations. Just
I mean,
breaking
David
news.
Jiricek was unhappy in Columbus. He specified that he doesn't want to be there. So you know what? I'm happy for Minnesota fans and for David Jiricek. Minnesota gets better on the blue line. They get another young blue liner to pair up with guys like Faber. I know you have your captain Spurgeon, who's 34 years old now. You add him with Jake Middleton.
Middleton's honestly a pretty solid defenseman.
He's been good this season. So, again, I know we talked about Minnesota to start off the episode, but props to them, man. Went out. Wonder what it's going to be, the return, but hopefully it's not a shit ton.
Chris said he'll message us to return as soon as he can. So, I mean, I doubt that'll be before we're done. But
Love it.
back to Four Nations.
Yeah, I
Cup,
want to go
though.
back to the Four Nations stuff because I wish the NHL would do this every year. Fuck the All-Star game. That is but the only
you can't do that every year.
you don't what do we
I think they're doing it now. Also, this is before they did this before the NHL players
16.
were officially allowed. No, they scheduled this before they made the agreement for the NHL players to go back to the Olympics. 2026 and 2030, I believe they got the green light to go. For the next 2 Olympics, the NHL players are allowed to participate. So, yeah, because the Summer Olympics were this year, no Olympics next year,
Yeah.
and 2026, the winter. So this will also serve as kind of a good way for these teams, like these nations, to kind of figure out who they want on their
Do you
Olympic
think
team.
it'd really be that much of a try with it being 2 years away, though?
Yeah, I do. I think you want to see how often do these players get to play together. You kind of want to see how they play well
Yeah, I
together. I
think
mean, 2 years. I mean, obviously Sidney Crosby, he's going to be on the team no matter what, even if he's 45 years old. You put Sidney Crosby on
If
your
he's
team,
still playing
and
hockey.
he is the captain of
Yeah.
Team Canada. That is biggest no-brainer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and I think for some players, there's going to be no-brainers. There's some that sure could save as like a tryout because they're going to be like those players that
Yeah,
are obviously
I
still gonna
think
be.
this might give a chance for some of the younger players to get a chance because maybe some of the vets go I don't want to play. I'd rather have the week off.
I wonder if players can opt out of this if they get.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm very curious because they're picking rosters. The rosters are going to be picked this Wednesday, December 4th.
So it looks like they're returning the Jiricek trade as a prospect and some picks. So.
Okay, so what
Minnesota,
we expected.
yeah, I don't know, maybe a second-round pick, maybe a third-round pick. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe give some of the younger players a chance to play on the international level with others. Because I mean, they play in the World Championships, but you're not playing with like top-level talent from your country.
Yeah.
So you might give a chance for some players that maybe wouldn't be considered. Like I think a good example of that would maybe be like a guy like Luke Hughes from New Jersey. Maybe get a chance. Maybe they bring all three of the Hughes brothers there. It's a marketing thing. I mean, Jack and Quinn are going to be on Team USA. Luke is still a younger player. Maybe he gets a chance just to play with his brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, see how he looks on the big boy. Maybe he's like the seventh defenseman on the team.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe Luke comes on as a seventh defenseman, or maybe he plays like a bottom pair role and just at least gets a taste of it.
Yeah,
I mean, you never know with anything like this, but I'm overall excited for it. I'm genuinely going to sit down and watch it if I can.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe the games are going to be in Montreal and Boston, right? If they were closer, I would consider If they were in Toronto, I would consider going to a game, but Montreal's a little too far away.
That's going to end it for today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, all of our socials are down below, as well as the subscribe button. If you guys are listening on Apple and Spotify, head over to our YouTube, subscribe for more exclusive content there. We'll see you guys in our next episode.